Hey everyone, welcome to the channel, welcome along to the office in my workshop. You may have seen from previous videos where I made this desk lamp and I made the shelving unit that goes along the back of this. I'm really pleased with how all that has turned out. But the one thing that I still need to address is this big wall here. Looking at breeze block, looking at a grey wall is pretty depressing when working. And one of the things I'm missing from my office is a big Blackboard, notice board type thing. So this week we're going to build a Blackboard to go on that wall. But this Blackboard, for the basic one, doesn't require any tools, it doesn't require paint, it doesn't require mesh. So I'm going to show you how to make that. And then in the second half of this video, we're going to show how to customize that and make it a bit more interesting and a bit more personal. So the first thing you're going to need for this project is a backing board. I'm using a piece of 9mm MDF. You can buy boards like this from local DIY centres. You don't have to buy a full sheet of 8-foot material. In this case, I've got a piece here that is 86 centimetres by 60 centimetres. But again, just a piece of board that's the right size for your wall. Local DIY shops will be able to cut this down for you. The next thing you need is a vinyl peel and stick tile, and this is what we're using as the surface for the Blackboard. The advantage with this is it's a slightly rough finish on the tile, which means that the pens mark it nicely. But because these are designed to be white clean tiles, we can use just a damp cloth to wipe the pen back off. The ones I've chosen are a kind of slate finish, which you can see here, and the backing is just a peel off backing, which makes them nice and easy. The pack itself was less than £10, and it comes with 7 tiles. I'm only actually going to need to use 3 tiles for doing this Blackboard. So it really is as simple as turning the tile over, peeling the backing off. I tend to peel the backing off entirely. I find that it's just a bit easier. Bear in mind the adhesive on these is really quite strong though, so try not to get it stuck to anything that you don't want it stuck to. And obviously the backing never quite comes off in one piece, does it? There's always a little bit that you've got to fix later. I've got the backing off the tile. It's then a question of lining the tile up so that the corners match and so the straight edge. If you can get this first tile right, then the rest drop in really easily. So just lining that up and then making sure that it's pushed down nice and firmly so that it's stuck. After that, it's a question of lining up the next tile. What I'm doing here is just checking that the pattern works in terms of making sure there's no really obvious blends between them. Peel the back of the tile and then stick it on next to the other one. Make sure that it's lined up as tight as you can to the previous tile so that the line there, you can see it virtually disappears. And then same again with the final tile. Again, just checking the pattern, peeling the back and sticking it on. Now this last tile, because of the dimensions that I'm working with, ends up sticking over slightly. So what you'll see me do is just flip the board over here and you can see that bit of tile sticking out at the end there. To clean that up is as simple as grabbing a knife and running it down the tile. What I'd suggest is take several passes at this. Don't try and force your way through in one cut, but you can use the edge of your board as a guide and just run the knife down, nice sharp knife, until that final piece just comes off the side. So as you can see, this works absolutely fine as it is. It's breaking up the wall a bit, it gives me somewhere to stick notes, which is a great advantage. But we want to personalise it, we want to make it a bit more interesting. Up to this point, you can get away with building this with absolutely minimal tools. If you get the board cut by the shop that you buy it from to the size that you're needing it, really all you need is a knife to trim down the tile to make sure that it's the right size, and whatever method you hang it on the wall with. In terms of hanging it on the wall here, I've used a system called French cleats. I'm not going to go into that in this video. There are loads of videos out there showing how to do French cleats, but if people are interested, leave a comment down below and I'll try and put together a video on the basics of doing French cleats. So now that we've seen it in place, we know that it works, we're going to get on with customizing it. So what I have here is a piece of live edge sycamore that I got from a local sawmill. It's really worth getting to know your local sawmill. This entire piece, which was 2 meters long, cost me about £8, which is very little for this. So all I'm going to do is measure it, cut it in half. Now what you'll see here is I'm just using a speed square to mark across the board. Make sure it's nice and square, and what you'll see here is the old adage of measure twice, cut once. I did actually remeasure this and discover I was slightly wrong, so as you can see the 2 marks there. I'm using the speed square to just guide the jigsaw so that it runs at 90 degrees. Then just pilot drilling some holes into the back of the board. This is the Blackboard face down, and then using screws to attach the sycamore to the front of it. I could have used glue in with this as well, but I'm just using a lot of screws. It means if at any point I want to change the tiles that I've used in this, I can do so without having to buy a new board. Just a quick note on what to write on these boards with. You can either use the liquid chalk pens, which is what I'm tending to use, but because of the texture on the tile, you can actually just use normal chalk as well. Either will work just as happily. In terms of the liquid pens, to remove them afterwards, just a damp cloth and they wipe straight off. So as with a large number of my projects, the final stage that I'm going to do is to add some LED tape around the whiteboard, just makes it pop off the wall a wee bit more. In this case, I'm just using some plain white LEDs, but you could use coloured LEDs. You can get sets that you've got a remote control and you can choose your colour. At the minute, I'm just using the adhesive that's on the back of the LED tape to stick it on, but what I will do later on is come back with just some super glue to tag it at the corners, make sure that it sticks properly. This one's really easy to use, there's a lot out there, but the connectors just plug on the end, there's no soldering to do or anything that requires any particular knowledge. So there we go everybody, that's me finished the chalkboard for in here. I'm really pleased with how it's turned out, hope you were inspired, hope it maybe gave you some ideas. Look at products differently, just because they say they're a floor tile doesn't mean they have to be a floor tile. Have a great week everybody, if you haven't already please hit the subscribe button down below and have a look at one of my other videos.